Live stream of Shadowverse. Today is Friday, August 20th, which reminds me that I desperately need to schedule videos over the weekend. In general, I need to work on non-footage recording stuff this weekend a lot, which kind of sucks because I would really prefer to just continue to play Binding of Isaac Rebirth, which, yeah, I'm still liking it. Still begging for somebody to friend me on Steam and give me the Repentance DLC, Afterbirth, and Afterbirth Plus DLC. Or at the very least the Afterbirth DLC, which is the next part. And I'm doing fairly well, like kind of shockingly well. It does seem like it is fairly easy to get a lucky run, even with some of the more difficult characters, and get to the bosses that are in Rebirth. Now, I think at a certain point, playing those on hard might be beyond me, or beating all the bosses on hard, or Repentance is extra content and extra bosses. May be a little bit beyond me, but maybe not. I might very well be able to get everything unlocked and everything, every boss beaten. Probably not everything unlocked, because I think I just wouldn't put that much time into Isaac, really. And yeah, I am running into a situation certainly where I could potentially put another 30 hours, another 60 hours, another 100 hours into the game, and that would probably just be too much. But I'm enjoying it so far. I've got probably 4 or 5 more challenges to do, and some things that clearly I know I can do and need to work on. Apparently, Shadowverse here got 25 million downloaded. So, 25 million downloads. Here we have the redrawn, remade versions of all the characters, or the main characters in the story. And this is new art. This actually, if you always look like this, where he was glowing with fire and pale and white, might work a little bit better. But at a certain point, I kind of just expect for them to eventually kill off the main characters in the story and just not really care about it, and more focus on just making the collectible card game work. Unlike Destiny Child, which is my favorite, we got 5 free packs. Yeah, unlike Destiny Child, where the story is actually fairly good and worth covering, there hasn't really been any good English version of any of this, and it's way too long. So, yeah. Generally speaking, I would have just not allowed them in the first place to have had a story if I was the director of this game, and I would have said, no, we're going to have a very loose, light story, and we're just going to hint at a few things and be ambiguous about it. Okay. So this would cost 1,000 crystals. We now have the add-on with the new cards, so we might as well open all 6 of these new packs. I think that's how we want to do this. There is definitely a problem, though, playing the Binding of Isaac Rebirth. There's not a lot to say when you're playing a roguelike. I'm beating challenges, but even playing the challenges are usually just around getting lucky. Ooh, panda bears. More than anything. And the 90% of the run is going to be just the same. That's nice to get a platinum on the first pull. These card back art is not very intriguing. It's not very pretty, yeah. And it doesn't seem to be heavily focusing on the symbol that Shadowverse has consistently held to, with its little, almost like a tree of life symbol, which honestly, the symbol might as well be dismissed because it doesn't mean anything. That would be the thing you would make more of a focus on if you were going to have a story, is that this Shadowverse story symbol is a important symbol that shows up again and again, and it doesn't. It just shows up at the very beginning of the prologue. Let's see. And at this point, I don't think there's probably any real reason to buy anything else. If anything, I guess we'll just start trying to save up to have 100 packs in the next expansion. That might work fairly well. So that gave us about 2,000 as far as cards. Which, let's do a little searching here. So the newest expansion in general, crate mode, we are missing one card here, 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 one card there. And opening new packs, there's a decent chance we would be able to get all of these cards. So what would be the ultimate catch up here would probably be to look at all the cards that are available in every expansion except this one. So it's in rotation, but it's from any of these previous sets, which would really just be these 4 sets, I imagine. You go like that. Alright, well. And then I guess the question would be, can we craft something here to get... I mean, you do that and immediately it brings you down so much. 3,500 vials for one legendary. So then you would have to kind of say, well, don't give me legendaries, just give me golds instead. And then I may have all the golds, or at least one copy of all the golds in the current rotation. Nope, we're missing one, and making one, crafting one thing for 800 gold is way better than 3,500 gold. Is way better, more durable. And I assume silver and bronze are also, we have like one copy of everything, silver and bronze too. Yeah. So as far as our rotation collection, We have done a decent amount to catch up as far as the cards go. I still wish there was some way you could hide the duplicates a little bit more. So then we could look, I guess, specifically at just this expansion to see if there was anything we want to craft that way. Or we could think about making legendaries. Okay, do we have that listed? Any gold that is in unlimited. Seems like that should be more than 41 pages of gold cards. If anything, this kind of highlights that there is not really that many cards in Shadowverse for a game that has been going on as long as it is. I'm still in the position though where that's the second the Marvel card game comes out, day one, I think I'm jumping over to that. While I did find Shadowverse slightly appealing because of its kind of anime aesthetic, it decided to kind of make it more kid friendly and dumb it down and didn't really go anywhere with it. The Shadowverse game does not really treat its players particularly well. It is much more a pay-to-win experience and a just expensive experience. And that's something I would also like to see them work on if they were going to try and improve. But yeah, we are making progress, but not that much progress. With 12,000 vials there, we got to page 6 of 41 of gold cards that are in the unlimited category of cards. So we're still missing quite a bit. Which I'd really like to see card games, if you're going to take your cards out of rotation, try just give them away for free to new players and old players. I definitely don't like the temporary system in Shadowverse too. The way that system works seems to be just intentionally confusing for no good reason. That is something that I would say Hearthstone did more than most card games, is that it would nerf cards not by removing them from play as much as just changing the cards. Of course, eventually it started doing both, and then just had even more complaints. And at a certain point, Hearthstone stopped being Hearthstone at all and started becoming auto chess. Alright, well, a little bit of progress there as far as a complete collection. I say it every time, so I don't know why I'm even bothering to say it anymore, but I'm going to try and rush through this Friday. Typically, people don't log in and watch on Friday anyways. We're going to once again need a Bloodcraft or, yeah, one Bloodcraft or Shadowcraft victory. If we play Shadowcraft and win in unranked, then I could play Forcecraft in ranked. Yeah, I think that's where we're gonna go with this. And we're back to victory rewards for 5 ranked, winning 5 ranks. Okay, so this And then Shadowcraft. Choose that and jump into the game. Been drinking a ton of water lately. Yep. I've also been getting fairly cold lately too. I'm having to readjust my air conditioner just to say, hey, don't cool it as much, which it's not a bad problem to have, certainly in the summer.
Hey pal, I'm gonna murder your world.
Let's go over the video game news. There won't really be a ton. Ideally, if we can go through all the video game news and some of the games that came out between Wednesday and now and leave some of those games for Monday, then I'd like to do some follow list cleanup. Like, of course, I really just need to learn to shut up about what I want to do, because I don't get around to doing it. And that is definitely a problem. I'm always more ambitious than I am about scheduling things. I should be more realistic about my schedule. But yep. Let's see. Video Games Chronicles says in an interview, they had the Guardians of the Galaxy interview. There's no reason Marvel games can't be as exciting as the movie. This is the senior creative director of Square Enix's Guardian of the Galaxy game. There really is no reason why there shouldn't be that thought. Like, it's kind of a dumb headline, which probably highlights that the article itself is probably not anything of importance. Just because, yeah. If there was anything more important to say, then they would have put it in the headline. It's kind of silly to try and promote a Marvel game as much as it's getting promoted, but we kind of constantly see that anyways with games, is that they just get over promoted and over promoted and over promoted. Let's see, another article we have from Video Game Chronicles is the Aeon Must Die publisher claims there has been no evidence of abuse or corruption as the devs developers cry foul. That's a long headline. The beat 'em up returned after a year despite former staff alleging IP theft, endless crunch, and harassment. This is probably, well, in a funny way, this is a story I don't even remember. So there were a couple stories of developers and publishers complaining and just having bad blood. I don't know if Focus Home Interactive as a publisher specifically had any conflict here. This is a game I don't recognize. Also, we probably are setting ourselves up in a weird way to have a very similar experience in the next few years, because if you think about it, there is this heavy possibility of all these acquisitions and acquired companies to come back and say, yeah, well, we were treated terribly. But I would say a individual developer working with an individual publisher probably does create miscommunications and a possible and it possibly creates an us versus them mentality. Whereas if you acquire a company and those are your coworkers, there's a lesser chance of that happening. Okay, so play this.
Anyone call for a super sleep?
And then we evolve this.
Prepare yourself.
And then can't be targeted by enemy effects. Well, I shouldn't have evolved that, should I?
Detestable. I'm coming for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I suspect we'll going to have ever increasing amounts of complaining about work environments and how people are being treated somewhat fairly. I mean, like the video game industry has been abusing its employees since pretty much day one. That there is still the problem, though, that in the real world, when you have people struggling to survive and getting paid far below a living wage and working at dead-end jobs like Amazon.com, Walmart, McDonald's, things like that, it's hard for people to lend a sympathetic ear to a job that's paying you potentially $250,000 to start and is then requiring you to work close to the same hours a lot of other people are working for way less pay, particularly since physically video game development is just never going to be that anywhere as demanding.
Brings you here, miscreants.
Yeah. That doesn't mean, of course, that people should be allowed to get away with abusing their employees, but at the end of the day, the problem with these stories, in my mind, is the problem with capitalism, or at least unfettered late-stage capitalism that demands nothing but more profit always. If people only chose to work because they wanted to and could live fairly basic but still meaningful lives without working, all of a sudden employers would have to treat their employees a lot better. But yeah, employment literally is built around the idea of ensuring there is always enough people who are desperate and impoverished in some way. It is the exploitation of desperate and impoverished people. Rich people who have trust funds don't ever have to work a job and will only sort of pretend like they do in order to feed their own egos more than anything. Moving on, I don't want to get into a rant. Video Game Chronicles says there's now officially there are now officially exactly, I guess, 900 Pokemon in the National Pokedex, which I feel like it was a lot larger a number, although yeah, they're not counting mega evolutions and alternate forms of species, such as the 26 different forms of unknown shiny Pokemon, or differences in appearances between male and female species. So the number is actually much higher. Originally there was just 150, and arguably 150 was probably more than enough. And I would also argue that if you asked someone to make their top 100 Pokemon list, they probably wouldn't even make it to 100. They could probably do their top 50 at most, but even a heavy core Pokemon fan probably does not have a top 100, let alone 900. Let's see.
Let us pierce the twilight splendor.
Do that.
Laces, everyone. Work starts at sunset.
Let us end this.
Wind, grant them courage.
Yeah.
The hour of
The thing about the Pokemon games, I would say too, is even when you're starting with like the Red and Blue games and having less than 150 specifically in the Red and Blue games, each Pokemon is effectively just a collectible, unless it becomes one of the actual. Oh, I bet you use less than 30 in any Pokemon game, as far as actual characters, because you have to grind and level up every Pokemon to try and make them viable as a character that you would actually play with. I don't think there's anything here that.
Why should the dead justify their anger? More! Death has no mouth, but it must scream. Your funeral begins.
Hit that one.
Quest is just the
Let us end
beginning.
this.
Hit that one, I guess. Sorry, I'm going quiet here.
Virtue.
I started a little later today because I was playing Isaac, which I was clearly more interested in during that, so
Swordsmanship.
yeah. Moving on, the Epic Games Store next free title has been confirmed. It's Automa Chef, which is one of these automated games like Factorio. Not sure I really want to play any of them. Although, maybe this one is a little bit more of a programming game, and it's not as violent. So there might be an idea around that. And then Void Bastards. Also. I guess we'll give that another try. Bethesda has announced the Skyrim Anniversary Edition, a free next-gen upgrades, and it includes fishing. I don't know what the fishing part of that really means anything. Remember Bethesda, before it was acquired by Microsoft, introduced the idea of the Creation Club, and then that was at first, or at least the first attempts of the Creation Club, were basically heavily overpriced horse armor, and then people pushed back on it, then they stopped doing that for a while, then it came out with, I believe, the Creation Club. I don't think it was called I don't think the horse armor actually was Creation Club content. But pretty much with the introduction of the Creation Club, that seemed to only bring a small percentage of modders who were willing to play in that walled garden of the Creation Club to try and make some money, whereas it seems like probably you still would just want to play Skyrim with the Nexus mods and free mods like that instead. Of course, it is also worth saying that from what I have seen of mods, the vast majority of Skyrim mods are either very small adjustments that should have just been added to Skyrim in its mini reiterations anyways, or they're adult content mods. Just using the Skyrim engine kind of for no reason at this point, to add adult content, kind of for no reason. Let's see.
Watch me. I'm coming for you. Detestable. I'm coming for you.
Anyways, this will include 500 pieces of Creation Club content that are basically focused towards Xbox and PlayStation consoles. The Anniversary Edition, as far as the PC, just includes the Special Edition with Dawnguard, Hearthfire, and Dragonborn, and then 500 things, which includes quests, dungeons, bosses, weapons, and spells made both by Bethesda and community creators, which I wouldn't be surprised if the amount of community creators is actually fairly small. And yeah, having the ability to fish in Skyrim doesn't sound like particularly that interesting of a new feature, but yeah, whatever. The shame here is, had The Witcher 3 simply been more open to mods, I think you could probably make an argument where Witcher 3's engine with mods would be way better. And this Anniversary Edition comes out, let's see, I guess we can just play Forestcraft now. Yeah, this announcement comes out just a few weeks. Ooh, we have a new button. Daily Golden Treasure Chest Unclaimed. So now we can actually figure out how this whole thing works. Which previously it was not explained well enough. So yeah, the Forgotten City came out just a few weeks ago, and that was a Skyrim mod originally, and it decided to sell itself and remake itself outside of the Skyrim engine. In all fairness, Elder Scrolls Skyrim is an RPG, whereas The Witcher 3 is still very focused on the Geralt of Rivia and telling a very specific story. So adding mods to that universe would be a little bit weird, but not that weird. Also, I think the cutscenes and the animation and the voice acting and all in Witcher 3 probably would pale in comparison to the mods. So yeah, it might look a little rough. Whereas Skyrim has always looked rough.
No beast could manage this.
And in a lot of ways, Skyrim is almost the predecessor for what Minecraft has become, a just long-term supported software, constantly getting little tweaks and updates and still being pushed out and played. Once you establish that community, it's not likely that the community is going to jump over. Same would probably be true for Hearthstone. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a decent number of Hearthstone players still playing, even now. Alright, guess we play this. Do we want to evolve? Nope, can't, even if we wanted to. It definitely isn't an Anniversary Edition with really isn't a good enough argument to go back and play Skyrim yet again, unless you were going to do that anyways. If you already have Skyrim Special Edition, you can upgrade to the Anniversary Edition for additional content. Is a quote here, although it's not being made clear whether that is going to be for free or not, or if this is yet again Bethesda selling you very little for quite a lot. Let's see. If we do this, yeah, do this,
And those acorns flying out of the woods.
and then do this,
Now's a chance for a grand
and then this,
Hey, let's play. Now's a chance for a grand slam.
and then
Stay away.
yeah, I don't know if I want to do it this way, but yes, hit this here,
Just
hit this here,
I'm home.
evolve this here.
The hunt has only begun.
Forest MVP. Hey, let's play. Now's a chance for a grand slam.
And hit that there.
Talk more later.
Video Game Chronicles has an article here. Xbox has announced a new entry-level wired headset. I don't know why you specifically would buy a wired headset from Xbox in particular. It seems like Microsoft is kind of wasting their time with a lot of their accessories, particularly since they don't really have any real-world retail Microsoft stores. I guess it probably is a Walmart thing, would be my guess. 'Cause if you went to Walmart and there's a headphones right next to a headset, which means a microphone right next to an Xbox, maybe some parents would think that that's an easier purchase than just buying a separate headset that may or may not be available for purchase in the Walmart section. Yeah, it's funny, this does just look like a headphone, so I don't see a microphone in front of her face. Let's see. On-ear volume and mute controls supports spatial sound technologies like Windows Sonic, Dolby Atmos, and DTS Headphone X. It's compatible with the Xbox Series X, Xbox One, PC, and connects directly to the Xbox wireless controller and other devices with a 3.5mm jack. No batteries required. Yeah. There is a microphone, and they just took the picture on the other side to not show the microphone. So this may just be an iterational improvement compared to like the headset that was available in the Xbox 360, which may very well be the last time that they've done a headset. Yeah, I'm not sure the Xbox One did have a headset that was any kind of improvement. Okay, can't evolve this if we play this, so we can either do this.
You want to hunt? Be my guest.
That's hot.
I won't let you get away. That beast is my savior. You want to hunt? Be my guest.
That's hot.
Hey, let's play.
Well, that worked fairly nicely. I don't know what company I really would get a headset from if I was looking for a headset. Like, and at $60 ish, is the same price, I believe, as the microphone I bought alone, and my headphones I think were $150 originally, and maybe you could get them for like $60. So, yeah, a setup that I have right now is easily double that for probably not a significantly difference in quality.
Well, that's too bad.
Let's play.
Video Game Chronicles has an article. Sledgehammer suggests it could look beyond Call of Duty for future games. Quote, "We want to constantly have interesting and exciting new projects." What I would complain about more than anything is the idea of calling your company Sledgehammer Gaming or Sledgehammer Games and then giving sledgehammers to employees. Like, the last thing I'd want employees to do if they're programmers is have a sledgehammer in the first place. Like, some of them may be handy, but a lot of them wouldn't be. And I'd hate for you to hand these out and for them to end up in desks. There's just this, what seems like an extremely high chance that somebody is eventually going to drop a hammer on their toe or hit somebody in the face with a hammer.
Well, on to the next project.
Yeah, I would not be giving my employees tools or potential weapons. But yeah, overall, I don't really have any interest in this article, in the sense that sure, they can make non-Call of Duty games for all I care. Until they have something to announce and show me, I'm not going to pay it any attention. And that is just kind of idle chit-chat and talk. Hades is now the highest rated game on the Xbox Series X and S and PlayStation 5 to date. Which is kind of crazy, and does make an argument that instead of playing The Binding of Isaac, maybe I should be playing Hades. What this also points out, I think, is that the highest rating games tend to be new games. I'm not seeing any really old games on this list. Now, that might be because Metacritic isn't comparing them, or it might just be the fact that there aren't a bunch of old games on those consoles. So, not super surprised that Hades would be in the first place. Whereas it would be a very different experience if you were saying Hades is beaten out like very classic beloved games like Super Mario Brothers 3 or Mario 64, things from previous generations and from decades ago. Or Ocarina of Time. And so that does bring about an interesting thought. Let's see if we can just go to Metacritic. Games. Let's see. Coming soon. Top games. Yeah. Metacritic.com/game. You can see Hades is here. I haven't cleaned up Metacritic. So, but then also you have something here like Chicory: A Colorful Tale and number 4. I've never even heard of that game. And Ender Lilies. These are all very new games. Is there a way to filter here? Legacy platforms. Browse by platform. I guess if you click Legacy, then the Legacy platform releases tell a very different story.
All I need's an opening and you're toast.
Let's see. Do this.
Let's play.
Do this.
Let's play.
do this. Should I have evolved this? I mean, it could have evolved for free, so I should have. Yeah, when you start to look at legacy platforms, PS3, PS2, all the way back to Nintendo 64, Game Boy Advanced, that probably will tell you a different story, but noticeably here, they don't have any plot reviews for retro games, which, yeah, at a certain point, there just wouldn't be that many contributors to Metacritic from their collection of reviewers that would have reviewed those games. But yeah, GTA 4 is top rated. GTA 5 is second top rated. I think it's kind of insane for people to say Batman Arkham City is in the top 5. That seems really weird. But I mean, it may very well just be a product of its time. Portal 2 makes a lot more sense. Bioshock Infinite. You're going to really put Bioshock Infinite before Bioshock. This is the top PS3 games. Yeah, even sorting by legacy, you still have to. They're all separated. Resident Evil 4, I think, yeah, does probably have much better of an argument to be in the top 10. So I think generally all I've just proven is that the Metacritic review says website does not have a good system to for it doesn't have a good system for showing all games in a row. And certainly I could probably search Wikipedia. And maybe OpenCritic is a little bit more supportive there. Like, maybe you could get reviews for all games on all platforms in OpenCritic. Maybe you can't. Moving on. Video Game Chronicles says Peacock, which is that new live streaming service that is, I think, CBS is trying to replace broadcast TV with Peacock and get more people subscribed.
A divine summons brings me here.
Okay.
Don't hurt me! Hey, let's play!
Do we have anything we want to really evolve here? I mean, yeah, evolve this guy. And attack here. Anyways, back to the story. Peacock's live-action Frogger game and now has a trailer. The idea of them making a live-action Frogger game show sounds crazy to me. I will watch this trailer, but not watch it on screen in fear of Content ID. So it starts with them showing a quarter going into a machine and showing a old school Frogger machine. Old school Frogger gameplay. Let's jump into another game. So what it looks like to me, I've paused it here, is that it is going to heavily be around the idea of you falling into the water, which very well may have been the reason why they did Frogger in the first place, is because, yeah, frogs falling into water makes a lot of sense, and that way you're not having people hurt themselves ridiculously crashing into the sides of things. So what I think this probably is closest to is Wipeout, or possibly Ninja Warrior for people who couldn't actually do Ninja Warrior. And from the looks of it, you're just going to jump from here to here to here to here, or jump from these lily pads. It doesn't even really seem like the cars and things will be moving, so maybe when you get back to this point more things will be moving. But what you're not really seeing is the idea of them going over the edge and then wrapping around and being in a loop. So if the cars are going to move, it's probably very little. Yeah, I imagine even with as much padding as you try, if the cars were moving, they would run over people and hurt people. But it certainly, at first glance, does not seem to be that interesting. Peacock is NBC Universal, not CBS. There are some moving platforms, and the cars are moving. Interesting, in the back at least. But, yeah. In a lot of ways, this may very well be a lot like that Netflix show, The Floor is Lava. These are all just kind of the same things. Yeah. Wipeout probably is your best comparison. And with the exception of the fact that they're over water and they're jumping from point to point, there seems to be no connection whatsoever to Frogger. And if anything, this probably highlights the fact that NBC Universal should have never been allowed to merge, and owners of Atari, which I believe it would have been the owners of Frogger, should have never been acquired by NBC Universal in the first place. Reduce its damage to 0.
How empty it all is.
Hey, let's play.
But yeah. The only video game TV show that I think ever really did it well, as far as a game show, was one on Nickelodeon many decades ago, and had its own custom games made to interact with them, instead of copying something that is going to be a pale comparison at best. And then game shows like other game shows on Nickelodeon often felt very video gamey, but didn't actually have any connection to video games. And of course, you have like the PBS show Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, and its short run Where in Time was Carmen Sandiego, and those were all right, but in a lot of ways that was more of a quiz show than anything. It wasn't actually trying to recreate action, and Carmen Sandiego's games aren't actually action anyways.
All I need's an opening and you're toast.
The hunt has only begun.
Sorry, but the time for one helping of this and it's 99 for you.
How could you not understand?
At the core of it, the problem is the video games are already better than TV. They're already better than movie. They're a different thing, and on rare occasions, a linear story being told to you in a non-interactive format, I could see the argument that might be the right format for telling some stories, but I can't think of a single example where TV is better than video games. The best TV show ever made compared to an average video game, I think still is worse. Of course, yeah, sitcoms like Seinfeld, like things like that, not really going to play well in video game format. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe you could make a Telltale style. It is possible you might be able to make just like a Telltale style game with the stories that happened in the Seinfeld TV series, and maybe that would have been more interesting. Probably not. So yeah, I'm exaggerating too much. I think there is definitely some good TV, or there was good TV. I'm not sure there's good TV anymore, but at one point there was good TV. But that has gone the way of the dinosaur, and a large percentage of movies are also kind of garbage. A decent amount of games that show up on Steam are garbage too, but it's a very different experience. Steam, with a Steam Direct allowing anybody to pay $100 and list their game for sale, is completely different than a movie theater. Like, you can't pay $100 and get your movie to play in a movie theater for sure. It's somewhat similar to like Amazon Prime Video if you delve into the depths of the garbage that is available there. Do this. Do this. And do this. And I don't think I want to
I won't let you get away.
do anything else.
I walk my own path.
Moving on, according to Video Game Chronicle, Flight Simulator's next world update has been delayed to September. If you were eagerly waiting it, it's been delayed 2 weeks to September 7th. Yeah. Yeah, I desperately need to schedule things. I very often think that there are more months in between a point than there actually are. Alright, well, do this.
You are forgiven.
And then this. And then this. And then
This is the end.
So sparkly.
was there an argument to evolving the other characters? No. If I had struck at that point, I could have also won. Because then I would have done 4 damage at the end, and then another 4 damage.
Is that you?
Gametsu says Ultra Age launches September 9th for PS4 and Switch. Ultra Age is what? Some sword RPG hack and slash game fighting big colorful monsters and robots. Kind of looks like a Warriors game where you're just doing a lot of hack and slash attacking with some targeting and jumping. There might be some improvements compared to a Warriors game in something like this. I haven't heard anything about this game before. Heavenly Sword was sort of like that game. it's kind of a shame that Heavenly Sword hasn't gotten a remaster. Like,
Let us pray.
in a lot of ways, I would be happy to just have some games come back as a remaster, even if they just immediately announce that there will never be a sequel, and this isn't to do anything other than improve the quality. Again, I'm filling up a cup of water. Man, I'm just so incredibly thirsty. And usually I'm incredibly thirsty anyway, so
We doing this?
the fact that I'm even more thirsty is kind of weird. Gametsu says that the 2D action platformer Galaxy Tales Story of Rapunzel has been announced for PS4, Switch, and PC. Story of Rapunzel Galaxy Tales. It has a Steam page. Let's see if we can get some more information about it. That is weird looking for a Rapunzel story. The idea of a long-haired character being trapped in a tower certainly could be easily expanded upon. Certainly that would kind of make sense. As far as instead of it being a tower with like a single room, it being a giant complex.
There you are, my little trespasser. What an oath.
Rest
Let's see. Model Debut 2 #Nicole has been announced for Switch, due out November 4th in Japan. Which I wonder which of these characters are Nicole, maybe the one in front. The idea of this animation style, which kind of feels more like a 90s era animation style, might be interesting, but I imagine this is just a fairly cheap, yeah, well, they're selling it for $70. There's a website here. Let's see if the website's all in Japanese. Yep, the website is all in Japanese and doesn't want to load. It feels like this is probably very girly. And then this animation style looks very low effort. Yep, all of a sudden this animation style is completely inconsistent with just CG low effort characters. Oddly tall looking characters with big heads. I don't know what art style you would call this. I would definitely not call this the Moe art style. Not that Moe is anatomically correct as far as the length of legs and arms and heads and eyes or anything like that either. This definitely feels like a girl's focused game with no real effort being put into it. But in all fairness, I think it is important to still talk about these kinds of games and recognize that regardless of how bad the state of games focused towards little girls are, it still exists.
I mustn't give in.
Gamatsu says the MMORPG Lineage W has been announced for consoles including the PS5, Switch, PC, iOS, and Android. It's going to be due out worldwide in 2021, which we're running out of time in 2021. Here's a trailer. Kind of doesn't matter whether this is... that's a nice character design. Doesn't kind of matter whether this game is good or not. It, to me, very easily could just be another mediocre or even high quality Chinese MMORPG, and that just being an MMORPG means I won't bother to ever play it because it's very difficult, if not impossible, to criticize or review an MMORPG. You either get in the game and play it and enjoy it, usually because you have a group of friends playing with you, or you don't. There's no single player storyline or anything to consider or remark upon.
The hunt has only begun.
Sorry, but the time for
And while I'll make an exception somewhat to play The Binding of Isaac Rebirth and just play that while not actually putting in a lot of commentary into the game while playing, most games I cover, I definitely want to constantly be talking about the experience and reviewing it.
Nice marksmanship.
Let's see. Let's try a different fairies or voice craft deck. Default forest craft. Gametsu as the Shin Megami Tensei 5 News Volume 2, which introduced new characters, stat, skill, building features. These characters look better designed than the random demon. Well, that one character looks better designed than the random characters that they were promoting before.
fire.
Although that may not really mean much because these might be very specific, important characters, or this might actually be Shin Megami Tensei 5, and they've just been promoting a re-release of Shin Megami Tensei 4 before this. It is definitely a game that looks very crazy, to say the least. And I don't know how you get into a crazy looking game like that without starting at the beginning or having a good entry point at a reboot. It is also still, I think, always important to point out that the Shin Megami Tensei series is one of the endings of it is one of the endings of which, I don't know how to say this, the Persona series was a split off of one of the endings of Shin Megami Tensei 1, I believe. So very, very weird that you could have a Persona series and what I see Shin Megami Tensei looking like, and them supposedly being in the same universe. But there is some consistency there. Shin Megami Tensei seems to be about the end of the world, and the Persona series seems to be about an evil demon trying to control the world. So they do have some kind of consistent themes of having demons, even if they look very differently. Let's see. Next, the Tokumiki Memorial Girls Side 4th Heart opening animation is out for the Switch. This is a Konami game, and I would assume it's some kind of visual novel. It's nicely animated, but I'm not going to show it just in case of content IDs. Yeah, it looks to me like it is probably a otome visual novel game with some anime boys competing for the player's affection.
The forest abandoned me.
Stay away.
Guess you hit that. Let's see. Quake Remastered has been rated in Korea, and the SRB is rated Quake for the PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. So there's a thought that QuakeCon 2021 will announce a remaster of Quake. Which I don't think anybody has acquired the Quake developers yet.
Stop it.
I don't think. No, Bethesda owns Quake. So it's kind of funny Bethesda is making all these plays when Microsoft owns them, but maybe Bethesda is just finishing up the things that they've had already started.
How much is in it for me? Hey, let's play.
Or it could be that Microsoft is just letting Bethesda still be Bethesda for the moment. If anything, it would be nice if Microsoft acquired a company like Bethesda and then broke it apart and said, nope, you're going to be a division that's just in charge of making Doom, and you're going to be a division just in charge of making Starlink, and you're going to be a division just in charge of making Elder Scrolls games like Skyrim. Break up the teams, get rid of the management and the redundant overhead. Of course, the nightmare scenario would be that the managers at ZeniMax end up becoming managers at Microsoft. If Bethesda somehow was in charge of Microsoft's games and Microsoft in general, their gaming division, boy, would that suck. Yeah. And I guess that is the danger, that you should always be careful about who you let into your company and who you let into your life and your house, to use an analogy. Yeah, same is true for Double Fine. Like, I kind of wonder if Tim Schafer might start working at a higher level at Microsoft and might start doing some really crazy things. And we'll just have to wait and see, I guess. DSRB has rated a Disney Classic Game Collection for the PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. This would be classic platformers based on Aladdin, The Lion King, and The Jungle Book. I assume these are just the old games being emulated.
Stop it.
Completing termination sequence.
Like, Nighthawk is the publisher, and they had this classic collection here of Disney classic games, Aladdin and Lion King, so they're just adding the Jungle Book, one would guess. What this does show you is, this may not even be the best way to get these games on Steam alone, let alone through other forms. Yeah, what this shows probably more than anything is that Disney is doing something with their games or their old games, and so ideally that might mean that they're doing something with their new properties, or letting somebody do something with their properties.
The hunt has only begun.
My arrows never miss. This'll do it.
Why is it the string is so pricey?
Stop it. Nice marksmanship.
What's funny is Disney hasn't even bothered to update their listings to the new system. I guess you can get Disney Infinity Gold Collection. I really wonder, can you play Disney Infinity still? I thought this had been shut down. I don't know if there is really much of a game in Disney Infinity. That's interesting. But yeah, when you click Disney here, it doesn't even have the new style Steam pages. And you can see I have purchased quite a lot of things that were either acquired by Disney after the fact, because they're now saying everything that was Lucasfilm and LucasArts is Disney property. And everything Star Wars was Disney. But yeah, it's kind of difficult to figure out if Disney Classics really would be the best way to play them, or if you could get those games some other way. Star Wars Complete Collection, it's not a bad way to get it. Some of these also might be movies, but I don't think they are. I think they're video games. Disney Games Mega Pack. And then Disney Movies VR. Interesting. Didn't realize there were that many Disney products. Yeah. Way down here is the Jungle Book. So yeah, I don't know why I overlooked some of these Disney products. I'm put them on the wish list. Of course, maybe I'll never cover them, or maybe they would get content ID'd, or maybe these are old games that are being republished. This came out in 2011. Doesn't look terrible, particularly for a Winnie the Pooh game. This game, Afterlife, came out in 1996. Looks weird, but it's a Lucasfilm, LucasArts game. I've never heard of it. That might be one of those hidden gems worth looking at. And then Bolt. I actually liked that movie, Bolt. I thought that was really good. I think a lot of these games, though, probably are going to be rough, to say the least, if not completely unplayable. Yeah, the Disney Mega Pack. Yeah. If I was to complete the collection, yeah, it would still cost me another $60. Disney Movie VR. Seems to be only a couple of Disney movies. So I suppose if you were going to get VR, this is free, so that might be why it's reviewed mixed. It's because it's not that quiet, not that good. Then there are just two Chicken Little games. When did Chicken Little come out? 2006? Kind of quickly forgotten about. And then a Phineas and Ferb game, which doesn't really have relevancy. Yep. And at a certain point, I think some of the TV Disney stuff probably doesn't have any relevancy. Oddly, English language is not supported, it says. It says it's Czech, Polish, and Russian. No English. Seriously, English is not an option. Okay. So remove from wish list. Ignore. Remove from wish list. That explains why that wasn't on the list. Then here you have Stunt Island, which is probably not a relevant thing to cover. But I'm going to put it on the wish list anyways. And then here's the Jungle Book, which was apparently developed by Eurocom. So what it seems like what Disney is really doing is they're taking something that was developed by Eurocom and then republishing it all under Nighthawk instead of as its own separate thing. You can see not a lot of reviewers on this either. I guess we'll just go ahead and put this on the wish list. I imagine there probably are a lot more Disney games that were made that just aren't listed at all. Let's see. Gamatsu says Valis, the Phantasm Soldier collection for Switch launches December 9th in Japan. This again looks like 90s era animation.
My core
Or
won't escape that easy.
Japanese animation.
My song will slay you.
It's an original Bishoji game. Bishoji, I think Bishojo is superheroine. Yeah. Games. This does remind me a lot of that anime Slayers. And yeah, it doesn't look quite like that. It'd be weird if this game came to the West, but not insane, really. A lot of bikini armored characters. It includes Valis the Phantasm Soldier, Valis 2, Valis 3. All are based on the PC Engine versions. PC Engine, not a console as a video game console. It is more of a video game console than anything, although it also sold itself as being a PC. Not something that came to the West really, but in any large numbers. If anything, PC Engine probably falls closer to that first generation of consoles before the NES, that like Atari and like some of those other very low powered things that most people don't even remember and would really have no reason to want to go back and play. Although, if I looked at the timeline, I think PC Engine probably is somewhere closer to a Sega Genesis Master System release. So, a couple years probably after the NES came out. But there were plenty of consoles that came out that didn't have enough games to be relevant and weren't powerful enough. Moving on, Metal Dogs launches in early access on August 25th, according to Gamatsu. Zhuan Yan Sword 7 for the PS4, Xbox One launches September 30th in the West, which, yeah, still a little surprised. We are getting kind of high amounts of announcements or just re-announcements of the same things over and over again, and I'm trying to mostly curate out that kind of content, but at a certain level we also are that is like barely the only thing they even talk about, because nothing has really been announced or has happened over the past few years, a couple of years, because of the pandemic and all. A game called Struggling is coming to the PS4 and Xbox One on September 8th. It's currently available for the Switch and PC. It looks very, very weird. It is a physics-based cooperative platforming. If anything, it kind of feels like it has the art style a lot like the Binding of Isaac, with crude, grotesque imagery, but I think has a lot more to do with swinging and platforming, which at a certain level that is the problem with Super Meat Boy and and what was the other one? The End is Nigh. Like, a lot of those games have a lot of the artistry very similar to the Binding of Isaac, but they just play in a completely different way, in a way I don't enjoy. Okay, what do we want to do? If we hit this, and then do this, and then evolve this.
The hunt has only begun.
Bad people are evil. Stay away.
And hit that.
A fitting end.
Let's see, Blue Reflection Second Light has details on Mio Hirahara, request, dates, talents, and fragments. This is Hiyori's older sister. This is the game that is also getting a lot of promotion, of girls and some kind of post-apocalypse, also going into a virtual world. It does look interesting, and I assume it's going to come out to the West, but I question whether this sells any more than a Neptunia game would sell in the West. And you probably would be better just playing Atelier Ryza 2. Jumping on board with the Atelier system and series. At a certain level, this game also being, or at least looking like it is 100% girls focused, it creates a unique a vibe, I guess would be the right word to use. Like, because you just really don't know.
I won't let you get away.
I think generally in an RPG it would be better to have both male and female characters, and sometimes animal characters and other kinds of characters. You want more variety in your team in an RPG group. And then if Blue Reflection is not just trying to sell on vague, subtle lesbian vibes to horny teenagers, and if it is actually trying to be a girl game focused for girls, that's a little weird too. Like a girl only focused RPG game. But in all fairness, I'm sure there's plenty of RPG games where it's all male characters. And if you think about like Pokemon as an RPG game that was super popular amongst all genders, there's a lot of mixed company in the Pokemon games, and the game is very popular not because Ash Ketchum is a boy or because Misty is a girl. Although even in the remake, there is the latest Pokemon game in the remake of Pokemon Yellow had a male or a female character you could play as. I think it might be Hey You Eevee only lets you play as, only lets you play as a female trainer, and Hey You Pikachu only lets you play as a male trainer. That would be a little weird, but I'm fairly certain that the newest Pokemon game lets you play as a male or female character, but maybe not. It may very well have been a case where if you played as Sword, you played as a male character, and Shield, you played as a female character. Yeah, Pokemon may be as bad as some of these other companies. And at a certain level, it is just an example of how the old men in charge of running Japanese companies are still fairly sexist, and by Western standards, there is more of an emphasis on specific gendered roles in Japan than there is in other countries like the United States, or at least is propagated in other countries. I do think if you had a 10-year-old girl playing this game, it'd be kind of weird if they started running around jumping and pretending to shoot guns. You might find that more concerning than a 10-year-old boy pretending to run around jumping and pretending to shoot guns. Yeah, if you were in the same way where if you were showing Power Rangers to a little girl that was 10 years old and a little boy that was 10 years old, I think parents might find it a little bit more shocking if the girl was playing Power Rangers the exact same way as the boy was. And in a lot of ways, that's just because, particularly in the United States, parents do tend to treat little boys and little girls differently, even if it's unnecessary or silly. So we probably should embrace the idea of an all-girls team RPG. But you probably, in scenarios like this, should just skip away from the segregated idea, unless it really is important to the story in Blue Reflection, and just have mixed groups. Anyways, moving on, the post-apocalyptic Western adventure game X-Killer, or Exakiller, has been announced for PC. It's from the Polish studio Paradark Studio. Yeah, I've never heard of Paradark Studio. Let's see what this trailer looks like. So you've got a flying car. In a lot of ways, it kind of feels like Fallout if you had improved on Fallout, or like a mix between Fallout and Cyberpunk 2077 if Cyberpunk 2077 was good. Almost certainly this is a case where this game would have been greenlit when Cyberpunk 2077 was first announced as just a more Western take on Cyberpunk 2077, and then they probably had to work on the game and couldn't change much when they realized Cyberpunk 2077 sold pretty badly. This does feel like it is very much just a Deus Ex game with some first-person shooting happening here. And I wouldn't be surprised if it is fairly story-driven like Deus Ex. But there is definitely room for the idea of a Deus Ex style game. I guess this is EXE Killer, as in an executable file on Windows. Back to fairies we go. That definitely does look interesting. Let's see. Siberia: The World Before launches December 10th on PC and in 2022 for consoles. Let's see. Apparently it's an adventure across continents and through time. Do we have a trailer for this? Probably shouldn't watch all the trailers. It's funny to set a game just through Siberia. It's probably made by Siberian developers, and that's why. This might be interesting. This might be nothing. This might be something like, what is that game? Yeah, this might be fairly narrative in its experience. But what's weird here is this has to be part of the Siberia series, which I don't think the previous Siberia games look that way. Let's see. See if we can find Siberia. Yep. See if we look at Wikipedia here, and I need to clean up Wikipedia also. Yeah, the Siberia series is a Microids developer point and click adventure game or adventure game. Yeah. Critically fairly reviewed. So we're just getting a new Siberia game. Which, if anything, I would say that's incredibly exciting to just have a new announcement from a recognizable, or at least slightly recognizable series. Just to see anything new being announced and it not immediately be shrouded by a huge amount of FUD, I suppose would be the phrase. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Because there's just so many, like, either it's a brand new game that has no history to it, so it could be good or it could be bad, or it's some remake or reselling that might come off as terrible because they do something crazy with it. Let's see. Gametsu, for some reason, has a review of Sonic Colors Rise of the Wisps Part 1, which is now available. It's part of it. It's the first episode of a 2-part animation series. So, sort of video game related, but not really. I would say, if you look at Sonic here, where it is just solid blue with just a white line, solid blue with a white line, this is terrible shading, at the very least. Terrible penciling as far as a way to draw Sonic. You need more details. You can see here you have just generic wavy lines all in the background. I don't think that probably indicates that there isn't particularly good animation there.
All I need's an opening and you're toast.
Let's go ahead and just hit that.
Talk more later.
Hit that. Moving on, River City Girls adds River City Girls 2 adds a playable Mirian from the Double Dragon series and Provi from River City Ransom Underground. So instead of just the 2 original characters who were part of the River City universe before, we're getting, I guess now, 4 playable characters. I assume it was really only 2 characters you could play as in the first River City Girls. I never got around to playing it. In fact, their way forward is being fairly quick to put out a sequel to the game. Perhaps unnecessarily quick. Do we want to do that? Or do we want to do something else? Let's just do that.
I'm already a proper lady, you know.
Talk more later.
The hunt has only begun.
Just go ahead and do this.
Hey, let's play. Cheers for a great ball.
So you can see Marion here, quite the 6-pack on her, ready to brawl with boxing gloves. And then you have Provi here in kind of a ski suit bodysuit with a jacket, ready to go to. It's for beat 'em up characters. They look pretty good, although in the actual game I wouldn't be surprised if they look fairly different.
There's no one else I'd rather lose to.
Let's see. According to Gamatsu, I guess this information came out later. Quake Remaster is now available for the PS4, Xbox One, Switch, PC. It's coming soon to the PS5 and Xbox Series. So now you can experience the original Quake enhanced. Which, alright. Does that really make me want to go and play Quake? Probably not. Like, this is... Quake is slightly different from Doom in that there's actual verticality, I think. Jumping and such. I don't know why this trailer is also in Spanish, but whatever. But yeah, I don't think there would be a reason why I'd want to go and play it.
Looks like
Even Doom 1, I barely showed off and just spotlighted because they're just such old games. Okay. So now we just need one more Forestcraft victory and we'd be done for the day. Let's see, Gamatsu says the Call of Duty Vanguard launches November 5th for PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Check out that article if that interests you. The Game Away, the Survival Series for the PS4, PS5, and PC launches September 23rd. The Xbox One version is yet to be dated.
I guess you're
Away, I think, is a game where you're going to be playing as animals surviving, from the looks of it. Which, there was already a series called Shelter like that, and I don't know if there really is enough room to switch between, to play multiple games where you're surviving as an animal. There might be, though. I wonder if this game isn't really just going to have a what is effectively just a collection of challenges or environments where you have to survive for a certain amount of time and really doesn't have anything else. We already talked about the Elder Scrolls Anniversary Edition, so Gamatsu has that. It's due out November 11th. EU says hi, nothing to say, just passing by. It's fairly late where he is. Let's see. Gamatsu has an article. Mary Skelter finale includes a romance visual novel, Mary Skelter Locked Up in Love, True End, which will be included as free DLC in the West. You go on a whimsical beach date with the blood maiden of your dreams. So, yeah, Mary Skelter in general, I think, is a RPG dungeon crawler game. So the spin-off visual novel is probably not going to be much to mention or talk about. That would definitely be weird as a video game critic, though, to play the Mary Skelter series and then have to play Locked Up in Love DLC and drastically change your gameplay style. Although, in all fairness, that is kind of the exact opposite order in which Danganronpa played. Danganronpa was mostly a visual novel in its main game and then shifted over to a kind of grindy, boring resource simulation management game in its DLC. The bigger issue certainly would be, I don't think there's a reason to play the Mary Skelter games as just dungeon crawler things. Gamatsu says the WarioWare Get It Together demo is now available. There's an overview trailer. This being a Nintendo thing, I won't spotlight it. Yep. This looks like it's a collection of WarioWare games for the Switch, which is pretty much what I expected. Gamatsu has the Famitsu sales updated, which, let's see, Nintendo Switch puts Yu-Gi-Oh! Rush Duel in the first place as far as software. That's new. And remember, I think last week, all 30 of the listings were Nintendo Switch. And, well, this might be that same list updated. So, yeah. If anything, it's probably just a slow week. 96,000 units of Yu-Gi-Oh! Were sold compared to the second highest game, Momotaru Dentetsu, which is like the, I think, railroad game from Konami. That sold only 21,000 units. So, yeah. Slow week. I don't think it's Golden Week or anything, though. But it might be. It might be the opposite of Golden Week. It might have been a slow week in the sense that people were busy doing other things or just focusing in on the Olympics. Which, I guess the Olympics are done now? Or close to being done? I wasn't paying any attention to it. Moving on. Getsu Fuma Din Undying Moon Early Access has a second major update now available. A new stage called Subspace Citadel and a new boss called Daidara Bachi have been added. I don't recognize this game at all. It's on Steam Early Access. It's mostly positive. It looks like it's a very Chinese or Japanese, yeah, probably very Japanese focused game, hack and slash game from Konami. I guess I'm just waiting to see if it comes out of early access ever. People are finding it fairly positive, not hugely. They're calling it a roguelike hack and slash, which this definitely looks different, and I think particularly with roguelikes, you probably do want some variety. I don't know if it really is a roguelike or a roguelite, which makes a little bit of a difference. I don't think I would personally want to play a roguelike game, because that would be too grindy and repetitive gameplay. With roguelike games don't carry over any progress from run to run, where roguelites do. Binding of Isaac, if it was a roguelike game, would not be worth playing, but being a roguelite game, it's actually very good. Although in a lot of ways, it's not even, it is so integrated into the Binding of Isaac that you play it over and over again that you can't even see all the content in the first 10 to 20 runs of the game. You have to beat it a certain amount of times before it unlocks the next boss. Which kind of sucks because there have been a couple times where I was set and ready to go and gonna try and take on the next big boss that I knew already existed, and the game just would not let me.
She was everything to me.
Moving on, Genshin Impact version 2.1 update, Floating World Under the Moonlight, launches September 1st. I don't know if it's really worth mentioning Genshin Impact at this point. This was, they're having the Aloy crossover event, which having that crossover event right now is kind of bad for Aloy in promoting her sequel game, because I think that game got delayed. Alright, well, do this, this, this. Then if we evolve this, it's not enough.
The hunt has only begun.
Yeah, I would still say, though, I kind of feel like Genshin Impact made a huge mistake in the style of the game that they wanted to be, instead of just being more of a Breath of the Wild clone and selling itself as a full experience instead of a in-app purchase.
Stop it.
Pay to win or free to play style gameplay, or free to start style gameplay. Alright, well, hit this.
There you are, my little trespasser.
That involves that. Then, do we evolve this?
I won't let you get away.
What an oath.
Hit that.
Together forever.
Let's see, Gamescom Opening Night Live
Nice marksmanship.
is scheduled for August 25th, Wednesday, August 25th. It's gonna live stream in 4 days. I believe there's something fairly interesting that, oh yes, the Lego Star Wars remake, they're gonna show some footage of that, which that game was delayed, so be nice to hear that it wasn't going to be delayed more. Gametsu has some No More Heroes 3 Gold Joe boss fight gameplay, which it would almost be a spoiler in a lot of ways to even bother
My quarry won't escape that
to
easy.
show that video.
You must die.
But yeah, I'm gonna watch the video. So I would recommend most people, if you're going to potentially play No More Heroes 3, I believe it's 3. Or was it 2? Yeah, 3. If you're gonna play No More Heroes 3, I would say probably don't watch any trailers going forward. You should probably know at this point whether you want to play No More Heroes 3. Let's see, Splitgate has extended its beta indefinitely as the game crosses 10 million downloads. Let's see. they're going to leave the game in open beta and gradually roll improvements into the foreseeable future. Which honestly, what that sounds like to me is that they're just never going to actually admit that it's ready for sale, and probably slow down the development on it. In a lot of ways, it is just phrasing shenanigans more than anything to say you're going to leave a game in beta indefinitely, but it is bad phrasing. It's bad marketing, for sure, to say we're never going to finish this, we're never going to have it out of early access or out of beta. But a lot of game developers do that. I don't know why they do it. It guarantees I don't want to play your game if you tell me it's still in early access years later.
And those acorns flying out of the woods.
See.
Yeah! Stay away!
Let's see. Gamma Sutra has an article here. That previous article was a Gamma Sutra article also. The Oculus co-founder's new studio, Mountaintop, has netted $30 million to create a debut project. We may have already talked about that. Starbreeze profits have dipped as it doubled down on the new Payday project. Apparently Payday is a lot like Left 4 Dead, which really shocked me because I would have never thought that comparison at all. That seems like an odd comparison, to say the least.
Hey, let's play!
Do we want to evolve? Nope. But every time I hear about Payday, I wonder if I really want to play it. But I think it is one of those games that is so much like Left 4 Dead. I think it's one of those games that
Done for.
only works if you have 3 other friends you're playing with. Gamma Sutra has a job listing here for Rydo S. I've never heard of that. Or GoPuff. They're looking for a simulation software engineer in San Francisco, California. And then, according to this Gamma Sutra article, Epic is claiming that Google offered preferential treatment to keep devs on the Play Store, which that's kind of ridiculous, because Google giving preferential treatment to anybody still would be an example of Google still giving bad treatment to people. They're saying Google developed a program called Project Hug to retain developers most of risk of abandoning the Play Store. I seriously doubt there would be anything illegal with trying to treat your business partners better.
The uncharted desert awaits.
It's terrible.
The hunt has only begun.
I'm ready for more. What do we have here?
I suppose I've lost some of my edge.
You wouldn't! You wouldn't! Yeah!
Yeah. Let's see. Apparently these offers included a rebate of 5% of the Play Store fees, but they were categorized as YouTube deals, cloud service discounts, or other subtle offerings meant to reduce the sting of Google's 30% cut on app transactions.
Let us play together!
Apparently Project Hug now goes under the title Games Velocity program. Like, in a funny way, what's what's ridiculous here is Epic is claiming and whining in its lawsuit that Google's Android platform in particular, which allows you to install, like Google phones, I think pretty much all of them allow you to install apps from outside the Play Store anyways, so it isn't a walled garden like the Apple Play Store by any means. But what Epic is complaining here, and this really just, I think, once again highlights a factor that I think people fail to notice sometimes, as far as just how much of a childish whiner Tim Sweeney, the CEO of Epic, is. He's complaining about people being treated well. Like, like customers being treated well. That feels fairly ridiculous.
I won't let you get away.
Bad people are evil. Stay away.
I suppose I've lost
A similar complaint could potentially be made to every company that has a loyalty offerings or sales or discounts of any sense.
I shall take the front.
Miss Toledo, get back!
And it is not crazy to say, if Tim Sweeney is complaining that game developers are being given being treated better is a bad thing, then you know that same attitude will eventually appear in the Epic Games Store. If Epic ever manages to turn the Epic Games Store into its own form of powerhouse or duopoly with Steam, he will, if Tim Sweeney is still in charge, he will inevitably, he's saying it right now, not allow rebates on Epic Games Store fees, or deals or cloud service discounts or similar things, because he's saying in this antitrust lawsuit fairly disingenuously that those were bad things, or that those would have been antitrust things. And sure, at a certain level you might say, yeah, the Amazon.com discount that where Amazon for a long time sold books below a profitable amount was done just to make Amazon.com become the de facto monopoly as far as buying books online or buying books anywhere, because bookstores basically don't exist anymore. Sure. And was that antitrust? Not by the crazy limited definition in the United States. Maybe it should have been, but at a certain point we just need to probably limit the size of all companies severely more than we do. And it's never going to get better if the only enforcement of antitrust law is when one big company trying to become a monopoly sues another big company trying to be a monopoly, which, let's be fair, I'm sure Google would be happy for its Play Store to be a monopoly. And it mostly is. But I've only once in the life of the Android series, from the original Android G1 phone that I had, I've only once installed a outside third-party app store to actually install something different or get a different experience. And that was to install the uncensored version of Destiny Child. Or the less censored version of Destiny Child. I think it's the uncensored version would be the way to describe it. Before that, I'd installed the Amazon.com App Store because it gave away free games for a while that were actually decent deals of getting free games. Now you kind of have a different experience where you can get free games, but they're not, they didn't really improve. Like when Amazon's App Store first launched the free games, those were decent games, but now not so much.
All I need's an opening and you're toast.
Moving on, we'll just go through a few games on Steam, and then we'll maybe do some Steam fall list cleanup. So we have a game here called Killer Jin Battle Arcade. I kind of like these characters, but they're not drawn well enough. I'm not sure if these aren't characters from something else.
Got your message loud and clear.
Probably not. And this does not feel like this was actually drawn by the creator of this game. So that's probably not a good image to use. $9.99, English, allegedly full audio, single player. Like, yeah. This is a simplistic 2D platformer. So definitely not worth that much. Can't attack. Can we do this?
I'll open the way. You follow behind.
Okay.
What do we have here?
Let's see. Here we have a game called Route Me Mail and Delivery Company, which is tagged as a hidden object game. I don't know why. It looks to me like it's just kind of a RPG game. If anything, this feels like it's simulating the job of being a mail delivery person, which the system in which they sort mail and deliver mail is kind of ridiculous and antiquated. I think it also, as because I briefly looked into being a mailman, there's just a lot of complicated systems, and it's you're only likely to pass the test to be hired in the first place if you had already worked as kind of an intern or had a friend or family member who had let you work the job before. So it really smelled of nepotism. It also screamed of you have to be perfect at the job day one because we're not going to do any training at all, which is ridiculous. So, yep, I did not put any more effort into it. The idea of studying for a test to potentially be hired is not something you really want to do. And I'll say in the IT field too, that is also a bit of an issue where people want to see you have a whole bunch of certifications and credentials as far as being educated in certain things before they even hire you, while they completely ignore the fact that whatever system they have inside their own network is completely not the industry standard or anything anywhere close to the way things would be done or things would be taught to you as far as certifications. I think the Cisco CCNA test is kind of a great example of that, where you might be CCNA certified or Cisco certified in all kinds of tests and learn the way Cisco wants you to do things, but there's just a massive amount of bandages and tape and figurative gum holding together most networks, and when you actually go and work at a job, you're gonna have to learn the way they do it, unless they literally are gonna let you change everything, and you almost never get the opportunity to actually change everything and do it the right way or start all over again. And if somebody probably is hiring somebody to change everything and start all over again, there's probably going to be some other problems, because then you're going to end up training them on the new systems, and then all of a sudden the new hire is the teacher. Moving on, here we have a game on Steam called Wolf Attack. Looks like it's a VR stand in one place shooter game. It looks too busy for a VR game visually.
You refuse to listen.
Let's see. Early access, $17.99, English only. Yep. Here we have one called Supernatural AE. Looks like it's a low effort Chinese game for 89 cents. Here we have a game called Bullfrogs, which looks like a board game, kind of like Carcassonne, if I'm pronouncing that right. English full audio. Monopoly Plus is mixer viewed. Alright, I'm gonna put this on the fall list. This might be interesting. Of course, board games have a tendency to be annoying.
I shall give birth to a new world. Resistance is meaningless.
Okay. Two. Is that the best we can do? Here we have a game that's all Asian letters, which looks like a Chinese RPG that was a mobile game. We really don't want to see this, but you know, at a certain point you might just get over the hump where a whole bunch of old cell phone games and old Chinese games get put on Steam, and then they get overlooked and forgotten, and then they just disappear into the void that is the lower levels of Steam listings. This is Chinese only, so really can't do anything with it. Here we have a game called Side to Decide, which looks like it's some kind of puzzle game, but it might be a little, yeah, interesting. So you have these cubes, they have different pegs. The pegs have to fall into the right place. I don't think there's enough game here, really. $4.49, 121 levels, whole bunch of languages. I think that really only just slightly overcomplicates a basic game, and I don't think it really improves it much. Can we do anything?
Arrows of purging! Asteroid Jaeger! I'll strike true! I'm already a proper lady, you know.
We might win here. Here we have a game on Steam called, nope, Asking Too Much. Once again from Shadowverse. Asking too much to get lucky and win. I could ignore the fact that I need a Shadowcraft or Forestcraft victory and just try and get a victory in general. Here we have a game on Steam called Ball Partner, which, yeah, doesn't look like anything of quality. $5.99, Chinese only. Here we have a game called Spawn Kings, which looks like nothing. Free to play, English only. Here we have a game called Chinese Confessions, which looks like it's a mostly text game. So I'm not going to be interested in that. $2.69, English only. Here we have a game called Uoni, which looks like a horror game. It looks a little bit different. It feels like it might be Chinese only. $21.99, bunch of languages. I'll put it on the follow list. There might be something to this. Weird shadow things. That is something that I think video games and movies probably need to work on, is the generic showing ghosts as just shadows or just pale people could use some improvements. There is definitely some like Korean zombie movies that have that same problem too, where they just draw the zombies as being pale, and the makeup work is actually really good, but it's gotten very similar in starting to become cliche. Yeah, looking at this game Uoni, it feels like there is a lot going on here. It doesn't just feel like a low effort asset flip horror experience. Although I would say this creepy doll that seems to be the main focus doesn't look particularly creepy to me, so that could hurt my experience somewhat with a game like that, but probably wouldn't, because most games don't scare me anyway, so I don't go into horror games expecting to actually be scared. Next we have a game on Steam called Mayhem Brawler, which looks like a beat 'em up game. Looks visually polished enough. It's going from a comic book art style, which... Okay, that's cool. Let's see, it's $19.99, English full audio. We'll put that on the follow list, and actually it's already got enough positive reviews, but I'll leave it and we'll check it later. Here we have a game called Blobkin Blaster, which looks like it's a VR game. Another stand and one play shooting game. This time underwater with a squirt gun. $14.99, English full audio. I have heard stories of people feeling like they were underwater, or dreaming that they were underwater, or hallucinating they were underwater, and then holding their breath. So there might be a danger to the idea of letting kids, which Blobkin Blaster does look like a kid's game. Yeah, letting kids play a game where their setting is underwater, where they might just end up hyperventilating or holding their breath and not realizing it. Here we have a game that's all Chinese that just looks like an asset flip game. Not even really a game. Looks like a tech demo. Early access, free to play.
There's a reason we're alive.
Here we have a game called Lounge Zone,
Wake up, sleepyhead.
which they say is some kind of tabletop game. It doesn't look like anything to me. English and Russian this time, $13.29. Jeez. Like, at this point, I can no longer even be mad at Russian low-effort game developers, because they've just been completely overrun by Chinese low-effort game developers. Zombie.
Come out wherever you are.
Let's see. Next, we have a game on Steam called Wall of Insanity, which looks visually polished enough that I think it might actually be a horror first-person shooter game. Yep. Of course, you kind of run into the problem of, do you really want to play a first-person shooter that looks quite similar to like Clive Barker's Jericho more than anything else? And that's not a game that I think most people would recognize or want comparisons to. I guess you'd compare it to Dead Space a lot more than Clive Barker's Jericho, but that was the first one I thought of. We'll put that on the fall list.
I love the feel of the earth. What goes around comes
Here we have VR King Arthur's Sword in Romania, Britain, which looks like a VR game just showing off some asset flipped environments. $4.19, whole bunch of languages. Yeah, I don't think there's enough here that I'd want to cover it or play it. I don't think most people would want to cover it or play it. Okay. This evolves as follower, which then lets me hit that one. Next we have Rims Racing, which is already mixed, so I think we can skip that. Which I guess I had hoped that anytime a new racing game is announced, it might be good. This is $44.99 with apparently a massive amount of DLC for licensing too, for motorcycle. Like arguably a motorcycle racing game should have less licensing fees and less like licensed motorcycles in the first place. If anything, Rims Racing seems to stupidly revel around the idea of modifying and building your motorcycle instead of just having generic motorcycles and focusing on the actual racing elements. Okay, we could do this one. We could do this. We could do this. Or we could do this and summon 2 ghosts.
Watch me, miss.
Prepare yourself.
Yes, I'm coming. Detestable.
Hit that.
Detestable.
Hit that.
Like
That.
right?
Let's see. Next, we have a game on Steam called Cursor, which looks like nothing. But 59 cents, English only. Seems to be kind of just a simplistic Flappy Bird clone, for lack of a better term.
But make it fashion.
So you're just like moving a cursor away from. You're dragging a ball with your cursor to hit all the circles. Here we have a game called The Veil, which all the screenshots are either dark screenshot syndrome or nothing. An audio-based adventure sets out to breathe new life into medieval combat and fantasy. Apparently I'd already seen this because it's on the fall list. So I'll just leave it on the fall list as an audio-based game. That's really the only reason I'm even giving it the time of day, though. I think now is the time to
Make me look too old.
do that. Here we have a game called Recompile, which is a atmospheric Metroidvania hacking adventure according to the description. It's from Deal Villagers, and it's mostly positive, so I think I'll give it a follow. $17.99 is fairly expensive. We still are seeing games that actually tend to have a chance of being good, being a little overpriced if they're in that B or C tier as far as their quality. Like what this actually looks like watching the playthrough seems kind of fairly generic.
I'm coming for you.
Parkour, running, and gunning. Let's see, here we have a game called Escape from Monster, which a low effort name like title like that guarantees that this is just a low effort asset flip horror game. $5.94 English only. No to that. Here we have a game called Blood for Poppies, which is another text-based game, so we can dismiss that immediately. $2.99 English only. Here we have a game called Stones of Harlath, which doesn't look visually polished enough. No, I don't think that works for us. $9.99. English only.
My quarry won't escape that easy.
Prepare for defeat.
What's funny, that guy that was the creator of that game reminds me of another guy, but no, I guess I don't know him. He just looks like a completely different person I'm thinking of, I guess, with a beard when the other person doesn't have a beard. Yeah, for a brief second I was thinking, yeah, there's some YouTuber that looks like, and I haven't seen that YouTuber in a long time. Well, Video Game Chronicles had an article here that says Activision has confirmed all of its core studios are now working on Call of Duty, which kind of shows Activision is single-minded, to say the least, in its focus. Blue Reflection Second Light has gameplay overview trailer. I think we may have already seen this, but we are highlighting it again. Yeah. I don't know if there's anything really to say here. This is kind of what I expected, was it would be wandering around a empty world most of the time and occasionally running into probably fairly generic battles. Honestly, the game might be better suited if it focused either on just being an RPG game or just being an open world kind of survival game.
The uncharted desert awaits.
Let's see. Video Games Chronicles says Xbox latest system update fixes a free trial bug. Stops timers on EA's trials from running out. Yeah, we have a game on Steam called The Bolt Age. A retro futuristic world. That is not a word. This game probably doesn't have enough polish for me to want to play it. It's kind of a shame. Some of the ideas and some of the images might have worked. 21, 24, English, Spain, Spanish. I'm going to say no to that. Video Games Chronicle has an article here. The PlayStation's long missing exclusive Wild has finally been shut down, it's been claimed. Michel Ancel's open world game was announced in 2014 and little has been seen since. Which, yeah, Wild looks wild. I don't recall this game at all, so this very possibly was before I was really paying any attention to video game news. This looks like this is a big nymph or dryad character, and I would have to wonder if she's topless behind this giant tree trunk. Let's see. If it was 2014, it pretty much has to have been announced for the PlayStation 4, if not the PlayStation 3. If this was something that the old Sony of Japan announced and it's being canceled now, that very well might be another indication of Sony of California now in charge, cleaning house and getting rid of anything that wasn't their idea. Yeah, this game would be incredibly dated at this point. Yeah. But some of the imagery is interesting and seems like you're playing as these horned dryad-like creatures and you're doing all kinds of things, hunting and fishing and collecting eggs and climbing trees. See, I don't know what I want to do here. Yeah, I guess you play this. And then you hit that. I can immediately tell, looking at this trailer, though, this just screams ambition. It was a PlayStation 4 announcement. It just screams ambition without actually having an idea. There is no gameplay mechanic being shown here. Like, there's a guy, a girl, a wolf, and then a skeleton man. There's a guy riding the horse with a woman standing on the back of the horse behind him. Yeah. There's a mud creature shown. Yeah. The skeleton is sitting around a fireplace in a campfire and telling a story, apparently. Yeah.
I'll see you in purgatory.
Don't forget to snag some merch.
There's like a puppy climbing on the head of one of the character, or a wolf cub. Yeah. There's a lot of interesting visuals here that could have been little cutscenes in something like a God of War style game, but the actual gameplay would have had to have been completely different. It should be, I guess, mentioned that Michel Ancel also announced his retirement from the video game industry in September of 2020. And his other project was Beyond Good and Evil 2, which, yeah, I suspect he'll be that'll be shut down fairly quickly too. Yeah, Horizon Forbidden West is the Alloy game I was talking about way earlier that Genshin Impact is doing a cross promotion with, and has been delayed, so that cross promotion is going to probably be underused.
You want a hunt? Be my guest.
How dare you? How dare you?
You asked for it.
That was delightful.
Let's see. Video Games Chronicle has an article here. Jeff Keighley is teasing a Saints Row reboot announcement at Gamescom. This might be the other thing that happens at Gamescom. So Gamescom might happen, and then we would finally have some new news. That being said, VidCon, the YouTube or live streaming event, has been canceled. So I think we still are in a situation where some things are happening, some things are not. Gamescom is probably going to be a much smaller event than it could have been.
I paid so much for that
What do we
axe.
have here?
Here we have a game on Steam called Half Dead 3, and what's important to know about this is the third Half Dead game in probably as many years, which is weird. The Half Dead series is basically the movie Cube, if you've seen the movie Cube, although it seems like now they have taken the influence from the Spanish movie. What was the name of that Spanish movie? That was a really good movie called The Hole, maybe. But yeah, in the movie Cube, you would go through room, and there'd be all kinds of traps in the room. Now it seems like they've straight up made it more of a roguelike, where you just go through a room and enemies start attacking you. So yeah. And it's weird that they're making a third game, because I don't know if they even came out with the second game out of early access. Let's go and look at Half Dead 2. Half Dead 2, very positive. Really felt like it was catching its stride for a game that is still mostly just asset flips. It is out of early access. This came out in August 2nd of 2019, but was in early access, I think, for a while. So I would say this is pushing its luck, to say the least.
There you are, my little trespasser.
Don't hurt me.
Darn it. Yeah. It's not super crazy, though, to come out with a new version of your game every 2 years. Or after 2 years. But I would have preferred them to simply have improved Half Dead 2 instead. Gamasutra says Tiny Build is going to acquire Ramen developer Animal for up to 10.2 million. I don't know what Ramen is. Is that some kind of game? I guess it is.
won't let you get away.
What was sown has been reaped.
Woodland Fortress at 12 o'clock. Hey,
Just
let's
try and play all the cards. Gamma Sutra has this article. The Frostpunk 2 developers are calling out key resellers for listing the game before the price is even set.
Nice marks.
In a lot of ways, though, this is probably Frostpunk 2 developers creating controversy as they just announced their game, or creating at least some associated negative press, even if they're the aggrieved parties, when they should have probably just stayed silent completely, because the idea that no news is all news is good news, I just don't feel like is the case anymore. And I think if you're going to create conflict,
Won't escape that easy.
I guess you're looking for a fight.
or start a fight with a key reseller, even if almost everyone would agree that the key reseller is probably in the wrong, it just kind of feels childish and petty, and you should just focus on announcing your brand new announced game and building hype around it. Like, if anything, you should silently be happy that people are hyped for your new game. Let's see. Gamma Sutra has an article. Roblox faces criticism for, quote, exploiting young game developers. Let's see. A YouTube video posted by the channel People Making Games. Never heard of it. They argue that Roblox Corporation is taking advantage of young people trying to make games on the platform. You could probably make the same argument for every modder on the Minecraft marketplace too. In a 22-minute video, that's fairly long, Smith lays out a number of concerns that young developers face when trying to make games on the platform, which include a mix of unrealistic expectations driven by Roblox Corporation marketing, a microtransaction system that seems analogous to the old company script system of the coal mining days. Well, they call it company script, SCRIP, no T. I don't know if that's a typo or not. Which, yeah, that is illegal, but there have been certainly systems where you do something and you get currency, like gems in the Shadowverse, that can only be used in that specific game or in that specific ecosystem. In a lot of ways, YouTube itself creates unrealistic expectations from the corporation marketing as far as how much money and how much work you'd have to put in to make money on YouTube. And that tricks a lot of kids. Excuse me. Yeah, I need to take this whole weekend off just to let my voice rest. So, yeah.
I have been waiting for you.
One way you could say this might be a YouTube video that really matters. Or, on the other way, you could say this is just kind of an attack ad. In a 22-minute attack ad. Against Roblox. That Gamma Sutra is more than willing to republish. You know what's funny is usually I totally whine about video game journalism sites being in bed with the game industry and just always promoting, pushing positivity, or at least it's been that way previously, but now it's kind of going the other way now. It's like it feels like there are definitely Game of Sutra is kind of a great example that is pushing a lot of negativity, and frankly there is a lot of negativity in there anyways, but yeah, we have felt like there have been some just obvious and naked attempts to hurt the video game industry and destroy the game industry. Usually in the past it was like video game journalists hating gamers or hating games in general, but now it seems like Game of Sutra is, there's a lot of, well, I mean at a certain point though, that's also what was said about the pedophilia in Hollywood, is that you're hurting the movie industry if you talk about the horrible pedophilia. So I really don't have a leg to stand on. Game of Sutra probably does should and continue to air all dirty laundry it can until the video game industry no longer has any more dirty laundry to air. And that's probably true for all industries. And honestly, I would believe if Roblox is an awful company ripping off kids. Yeah, that sounds very believable. Moving on, Video Games Chronicles has an article. Biomutant has sold over 1 million copies and recouped all of its costs in the first week, which is kind of ironic because there was another game that hadn't recouped its cost according to its publisher in like 6 months. But it really goes to show the just randomness of how things can go. Dragon Quest Offline producer talks map scaling, story, voiceovers, and battle system. This is a Gamatsu article. Cat Lateral Damage Remastered launches September 15th for PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Which I think Cat Lateral Damage has been out for a while, and arguably the art does not look any different than the way it looked before, so I'd have to really question what has been remastered in this case. Let's see. 2 damage.
I'm already a proper lady, you know. Unbelievable. Hey, let's play.
The hunt has only begun.
So sparkly. Yeah. How did I miss that?
Let's see. Here we have a game on Steam called Blackout the Darkest Night, which looks like it's mostly a text game, but it has enough visuals to give it maybe a chance. It's $5.39, English only. I'll give it a follow. This probably won't ever get reviewed enough for me to look at it. Here we have a game called Fear Corporation, which doesn't look visually polished enough. Although this clown character is not terrible, the rest of it just doesn't look like something.
Stop it.
Running around a house destroying phobias with a gun and balloons. $9.99. Russian full audio and English. Yeah, I think we can skip that. Here's that game, 12 minutes. It is rated mostly positive. I'm not sure I really want to play this, but really don't have a good argument to not put it on the follow list. So I'll do that. $24.99 is kind of a great argument to not buy it. This is from Annapurna, which I guess I'd want to play What Remains of Edith Finch first. Arguably, there's kind of a problem when you look at like What Remains of Edith Finch and how nicely animated that game looks and how kind of generically animated 12 minutes looks. But mostly the problem with 12 minutes is just the fact that it was announced too early.
I shall give birth to a new world. Ludicrous.
Well. Next we have a game called Vane Riser, which looks like a visual novel. Maybe a Chinese visual novel. Yep. $11.69. Chinese only. Here we have one called EXS1 Anthology Sister Cultural Functionalism. Sounds like a whole bunch of gibberish. It's tagged as a clicker, which, yeah, it looks like a visual novel, not a clicker game. Free to play this time, Chinese only. Final Fantasy IV has been listed, I guess is the thing to say. It's not out yet, which is funny because what's on Steam did just announce it as if it was coming out. Here we have Detective VR NFT Secret Files, which, yeah, I'm so glad nobody's talking about non-fungible tokens anymore. So this is $16.99. English full audio. There might be a VR experience here of some interest, but this also might be nothing. Let's see. This is a weird title from Gemetsu. Real-time color-changing strategy game. White Girl is coming to the Switch on September 2nd. It's currently available on PC, iOS, and Android. So I guess we should look at the Steam listing. Color-changing game. White Girl is a weird title. I remember seeing this and it didn't strike me as a particularly good name even there. What would be funny is if I covered this game, which seems to be mostly just a card game. If I covered this and then all of a sudden for some weird reason the YouTube algorithm promoted the game like crazy because it says white girl or girl in it. That might actually work in some crazy way with the algorithm. Yeah, it seems like as you play the cards, the character changes poses or changes appearance. But I don't know what else there is to it. That seems very weird. This came out February 1st, 2021. English, Chinese, Japanese, and Korean. It has like 5 user reviews. Is it online PvP? Yes, I guess it is. It uses live 2D graphics, which is why the characters are moving. We can go back and find the video. Yep, that's why they're kind of swaying back and forth. That's the live 2D technology. Of course, you could just also animate some of that. Yeah, I don't know if that game would go anywhere. Moving on, Gamatsu has an article. Nostalgic Train is coming to the Switch on August 19th. Which, let's see if we have a trailer of this. I think we've already heard about this game. Just kind of riding a train. Yeah. Yep, you're riding a train, you're seeing a visual experience outside the train.
Stay away. Ow.
Let's see, what else have we got?
They're picking on me.
I'll discipline you down to your soul.
Okay, well, so we are at the 3-hour mark. I've left enough games for Monday, I think. So I should probably just look at the Twitter feeds and wrap up. And then if we are still going to try and go one more game, which I don't think I really am, then at that point I will do some follow list cleanup. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. Well, so I'm just gonna go down my Twitter feed real quick. Yeah, this still is really sucking. And I really wish I was getting the follow list cleanup fixed. If anything, what I need to do, and it's so simple, it should be obvious, is I need to just quit putting as many things on the follow list and raise my standards a lot higher. Or do the follow list cleanup off screen, which, you know what, I could do that over the weekend too. Yeah. When something isn't working, I should just try something different. So yeah, over the weekend I could do a little bit of follow list cleanup as videos are being recorded as scheduling. I need to get the scheduling done first though, so I'll probably do that and then be so exhausted from that that I won't actually do any follow list cleanup. But that is a thought, at least. According to Gamma Sutra, Bungie is suing a trio of Destiny 2 cheat makers, which we occasionally hear stories of that. A new Metroid Dread trailer came out. It might have some spoilers in it, as I guess any trailer could have spoilers on them.
Stop it.
I'm still scrolling down my Twitter feed. Gamma Sutra has an article here. I want to read this on Monday. Nearly a decade later, 38 Studios employees are starting to get their final paychecks. Jeez, that company must have gone through a extremely long-term bankruptcy or just hugely contested situation. Like, theoretically, I don't see any reason why an employee shouldn't be paid for their work first and foremost over any other creditor or debtor. There should be zero assumed risk that you're not going to get paid for working. Like, slavery is illegal, except for when the government does it in the United States. Yeah, it wasn't until now that I just realized how worn out my voice is. I wonder if there would be some way to do a silent stream on Fridays, just to give my voice 3 hours of rest, 3 extra hours of rest. I don't imagine there's a way to do that. Not making good content. That would almost certainly not work. And what's funny here is now I'm not being delayed because of being tired, although I am starting to feel a little sleepy. I'm just being delayed because of coughing and, if anything, maybe a little bit of exhaustion.
Reapers, be sparkly, be adorable.
Does this outfit make me look too old?
Alright.
Hey, let's play.
Yeah, don't really have anything to say as I'm scrolling down the Twitter feeds, other than the general, boy does this suck to try and play a game like Shadowverse and just constantly get your butt handed to you and struggle to get even 3 victories.
Nice marksmanship.
So yeah, still trying to get 1 Forcecraft or a Shadowcraft victory, and then we would be done with the daily quest. And Shadowcraft resets at a weird time, at Japanese time, so in the middle of the stream, everything resets. There was a 25-minute video of Deathloop footage that shows off the game's multiplayer mode, according to Video Game Chronicle, if that interests you. We'll open that pack on Monday. And here they're pushing more battle passes. Alright, well, that's going to be it for this stream. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and get me a game off my wishlist.